For centuries, Ireland was one of the poorest countries in Europe, but then something incredible happened. The Irish economy boomed. Today, Ireland is one of the wealthiest nations in the world, surpassing even countries like Switzerland, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. Everyone says that Ireland is doing very well, but the truth is that not everyone agrees. 70% of young people are considering leaving the country, mainly due to the economic situation. But how is this possible? Why are people dissatisfied in one of the wealthiest countries in the world? It turns out that Ireland's success story is not as perfect as it seems. In this video, we will understand how Ireland went from poverty to wealth. It's important to understand a bit of the context behind this story. For much of its history, Ireland had a reputation completely opposite to what it has today. First as part of the United Kingdom, and then as an independent country, Ireland was considered poor, with a predominantly agricultural and underdeveloped economy. Its economy depended heavily on trade with the UK, and many people tried to escape poverty by emigrating from the country, which did not help its economic situation. The situation did not improve much over time. By the late 1980s, Ireland remained one of the poorest countries in Western Europe, but it finally found the formula for success. Ireland was part of the European Union, a bloc of countries that share a single market where companies can sell to all member states by paying taxes in just one of them. Ireland adopted the strategy of becoming a center where foreign companies chose to do business in the European Union. To attract these companies, Ireland applied a combination of low taxes and economic incentives. Shortly after, large American companies such as Dell, Microsoft, and others chose to establish their official European residence in Ireland. Not because it was a great market, but because they would save a lot of money on taxes. The taxes collected by Ireland boosted its economy like never before. In the 1990s and 2000s, it grew at a rate comparable to economies like Singapore or South Korea and was dubbed the Celtic Tiger. Then, in 2008, Ireland faced a global economic crisis, and its response was to intensify this strategy of low tax burden, almost reaching zero taxes. Ireland actually became a global tax haven, where many American companies started to pay all their worldwide profits in Ireland, where they paid very little taxes. Ireland ended up with a small slice of a gigantic pie and emerged from the crisis like a Celtic phoenix, growing faster than ever and surpassing practically every other country. Unlike most of its history, Ireland saw its population grow because people were no longer leaving the country. On the contrary, many highly paid tech workers came to work for big tech companies, and Ireland enjoyed its reputation as the new European Silicon Valley and its economic miracle. However, a paradox arises. If everything is going so well, why do so many people want to leave? Well, Ireland's success story begins to crumble when you look closer. Last year, a survey revealed that 7 out of 10 Irish people between the ages of 18 and 24 are seriously considering leaving the country because they are not satisfied with the quality of life. And one of the reasons is the housing crisis Ireland has been facing for several years. It is notoriously serious due to government policies that make it difficult to build dense urban housing and facilitate opposition to and hindrance of new constructions. The result is a critical shortage of housing that makes it inaccessible for most people. A year ago, there were only 850 rental properties in the entire country. This led to strange scenes, like hundreds of people lining up on the streets of Dublin to get a look at an available apartment for rent. Despite the housing crisis that has been going on for several years, countless protests and government promises, little has been done to resolve it. However, housing is just one example of a broader problem. Ireland is, in many ways, surprisingly mismanaged, with failures in building basic infrastructure and managing essential public services. The country struggles to build roads and energy infrastructure, and its healthcare system is constantly overloaded and without basic financial resources. The paradox here is that despite Ireland's economic history and its brilliant reputation, the reality does not seem to measure up. A possible explanation is that Ireland's wealth is not as real as it seems, and the Irish miracle may not be as true. Let's explain it better. Ireland has an extremely high per capita GDP, which is the most commonly used indicator to assess a country's economic performance. It might seem that the Irish economy is far ahead of others. However, when you look at other statistics, things start to seem strange. For example, the average salary is relatively high, but not in line with the GDP. In fact, the average salary in Ireland is lower than that of most Scandinavian countries, and is similar to that of countries like the Netherlands, Belgium, or Austria. And yet, Ireland's per capita GDP is significantly higher than that of these countries, approximately double. Other statistics also show a similar trend. For example, disposable household income, which measures how much money people actually have at their disposal, puts Ireland below the EU average. In other words, there is a big difference between the data showing how rich Ireland appears to be and the real wealth of the people. This results in a widely recognized theory by many economists, but denied by the Irish government. Ireland is not as rich as it appears on paper. This is partly because Ireland's GDP is mainly driven by multinational companies that transfer their profits to Ireland, even though those profits were not generated in Ireland. These companies are not Irish, and the profits leave the country without really entering the Irish economy. This has been dubbed leprechaun economics, an economy in which the country's GDP does not reflect the economic reality. In reality, Ireland cannot be considered a rich country. Rather, its specific economic model can be described as a tale of two Irelands, one rich and one poor. While GDP statistics may suggest that Ireland is thriving, the reality is that the average Irish person is nothing like the Google software developer working for big tech companies. These companies only employ a small portion of the Irish workforce, while most people work in Ireland's domestic economy, which is not related to big tech and earns much less money. While rich Ireland receives most of the attention, the poverty that largely persists remains out of focus, portraying the daily reality for most people. Additionally, magical accounting hides many flaws in the Irish economy that would be immediately visible otherwise. For example, Ireland has one of the highest national debts in the world. But since national debt is usually communicated in relation to the country's GDP, this goes unnoticed. For now, it seems like Ireland is doing well, but when you set aside the GDP, you realize that the situation is not as good as it seems. Economist Aaron Levinstein once said, "Statistics are like bikinis. They suggest a lot, but hide the essential." So far, Ireland has managed to conceal the true nature of its supposed economic miracle. However, this situation may not last much longer. The fight against tax havens is intensifying, and the days when Ireland could collect taxes from big foreign companies may be coming to an end. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel, leave your like and your comment. See you in the next video.